Welcome to Black Man Lab. We are live with lab results this Wednesday, March 2nd. Already, years flying by. So we are excited to be here tonight. I am Marty Monigan, the Executive Director for the Black Man Lab. We're going to have a great conversation tonight with one of our panelists from this past Monday's conversation, which was an extension of the past 2 weeks. The past 2 weeks, we talked about love and finding the right partner. And what we came out of with that conversation was the need to talk about what did we have to do as black men to basically be our best selves, right? What's going to be the picture of what black manhood should look like, the standards. So this past Monday, that was the conversation that we had. Great conversation, great interaction. And I'm very fortunate tonight to have one of our guests on that was one of our panelists from this past Monday. So he'll give some good insight, and I'm really looking forward to that. But before we get started with anything, we always talk about from whence we came. Black Man Labs started roughly almost 5 years ago now, in here in Atlanta by four fathers that got together to have some conversations with their sons from somebody other than themselves. We know quite often as fathers that have sons, our sons tune us out. So what they did was they came together and brought in other brothers, good friends, uncles, godfathers, just other voices for our young black men to hear. And that led to them bringing more and more young folks into the circle. And eventually to the point prior to the pandemic of us having over 250 black men meeting every week at the Andrew and Walter Young YMCA here in Atlanta, and having these meaningful discussions every week and great interactions, great opportunities for our young folks as well as our folks that aren't so young to have opportunities to network and do the work together, us to be able to keep us moving in the right direction. We know that nothing happens without our young folks being completely immersed in this work and understanding what it's going to look like for the world to be better. As we sit right today with part of the world in war over in Russia, we definitely need some young folks that are going to be in spaces of leadership to change the paradigm of what the future looks like. So that's what the Black Man Lab is all about. We know that we would not have gotten here without those that came before us. So every week, what we do is we make sure that we bring our ancestors into the space. When we are meeting live and in person, we do a very big, what we call in the African tradition of libations, meaning, some of us who grew up in certain areas of the world, we might call it pouring out a little liquor when we just remember somebody. Here what we're doing is we just call a name to bring them into the space because we know that again that this work that we're doing would not have happened without those that came before us. So here at Lab Results, all we do is myself and my guests will just call out one name of an ancestor that's on our mind that would be happy to see us doing this work here that we're doing tonight. So before I give him an actual intro, I'm gonna just ask him to come off of mute. And Jay, if you could just join me in calling the name of an ancestor, we'll just put up a fist in the air and just call up somebody who would be happy to see what you're doing today. So with that
For
on
sure.
three, one, two, three, Sylvester Williams,
Mm-hmm.
Shay.
That's right.
Um, so without
Lord
further ado,
willing. Mm-hmm.
Shay. Without further ado, I'm gonna bring on my brother Jay White. And I'm gonna let him give an introduction of himself, and then we'll get into the conversation about him as well as our conversation from Mondays. So Jay, if you could give a quick intro.
So, first of all, thank you guys for having me. I'm certainly honored that y'all thought it not robbery to not only include me in this discussion, but invite me to be a panelist. So, I'm humbled and grateful. I've been around. I know the work that's been happening with the Black Man Lab, and I'm grateful to be a part of what it is you all are building. Who is Jay White? I go by Jay the Dreamer because I've been given a lot of different assignments in life. I dream, I execute. Entrepreneur at heart, have been since I was 12 years old. Owned my first barbershop. From there, started buying restaurants. From there, started traveling the world and figuring out other ways to be innovative through exposure. So I currently own what's called a pedicab business. Some people may know them as rickshaws or tuk-tuks. For those who are travel or who've been immersed in the Asian culture, they're quite um, used in that particular culture. But yeah, man, I'm an entrepreneur at heart, have a servant's heart, definitely am at the bit of what Dr. Claude Emerson talked about with building the tier of entrepreneurship and how we build community. So, um, yeah, man, that's who I am in a nutshell. I work with the people, for the people, by the people. I live amongst the people. I reside in the West End. My business is in the West End. And man, there's no greater place to be for me in this moment to be in conjunction and work with the Black Man Lab and the initiatives that you all and your mission statement. So grateful, man. That's who I am in a nutshell.
Awesome, brother. And we are grateful to have you in the space as often as you've been there. And again, we're grateful for having you on the panel this past Monday because your words were impactful. Before we get to that, the other thing that I always like to do, outside of where people are at professionally, I think it's important. What Black Man Lab Results is all about. The reason that we kept this virtual platform was specifically so that we could delve a little deeper into what got somebody to where they're at, right? The results, what got them into where they are. So talk about that piece, Jay. Where were you born? Family and all that kind of stuff. Where were you born and how'd you grow up?
So I'm born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. Product of a single parent household. My mom raised me and my two sisters. Have an amazing father who wasn't in the home, but made sure that me and my siblings and other people in the community traveled the entire world. So he, thought it not robbery to purchase a van and take us around the world. So, um, been every single city, state, national park. Um, been to Canada, been to Mexico. Did this all throughout my childhood. So learning how to actually live off of the grid. Um, and that I'm grateful for my father and him teaching me that. So I grew up in the woods pretty much.
Mm,
Um, my entrepreneur spirit I get from my mother's side of the family. Um, being born and raised in Cincinnati is a rich history there. Have some ties to the Underground Railroad that actually goes through Cincinnati. Um, and once I caught wind of having my gifts and talents, I ran with it. Went to college, not because I was trying to be a scholar. I was an athlete, and then started to apply some scholarship to why are we here as Black people? So I've always had I won't say always, but I remember from the time I was 25, I started then to have this burn for what is it that we're here to do, and why is it that everywhere I've gone in the world, Black people on the bottom, like we last. So um, left Ohio, moved to Los Angeles and Watts, lived in Watts for 6 years.
oh wow.
Started a barbershop and restaurant in Inglewood. So I have some ties there, which is how the pedicab just, I tell you about the pedicab business that we just expanded that business from Atlanta to Los Angeles. And we launched Super Bowl weekend, and that's been amazing. I actually got to go there Monday. But again, man, for me, it is just doing the work for our people. And I realized I had to still myself and figure out why do we last everywhere?
Mm-hmm.
And it all went back to religion. So I went to seminary recently. I graduated from seminary in 2020 with a master's in divinity, more importantly, with a clear understanding as to how we've been duped, And that continues to fuel the work that I do, man. Just kind of deconstructing narratives that were given to us. Everything from economics to our culture, our language, to how we treat one another, especially black men and black women um, intermingle, how we collaborate, how we build community together, what a man's role is versus what a woman's role is, and just create going back to how it was before they handed us a narrative per se.
Now, see, you didn't mention to me about the divinity school thing, brother. I didn't know that. I wish
Yeah,
I
man.
wish I had have known that when we had our spiritual panel that we had. That would have been great to have you on that one because that was powerful too, brother.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
we'll bring it back, and when we do, I'll make sure that you're on that one as well, man. So
Okay, fine.
um, you mentioned a few things there. So you said you were in athletics. What did you play?
I play basketball and football. I was
You
a
hooped ahead.
quarterback in football, and then then I played basketball. Actually, that's where most of my scholarship came from, playing basketball, and I played overseas for a short stint, and
Okay.
then through some very divine appointments, that door closed, and which I'm grateful. But I had new dreams of want to buy my mom a house and take care of everybody in the hood, and most I was like, no, sir, you're doing something different.
It's something
So I'm
different, right?
grateful. Yeah, I'm grateful, man. I'm grateful.
Yeah, that's great stuff, man. And so then, how did you get to Atlanta?
I got married in 2000 and no, yeah, 2004. And my ex-wife was a very good friend, went to Spelman. So she's from New York, and I was in LA. So Atlanta was the quote unquote middle ground for it. So she's like, I'm not moving to LA. You're not moving to New York. Let's go to Atlanta. So I think I like to say my path was divinely orchestrated, and I'm grateful. And coming up on 20 years, man. It's been amazing.
Wow, wow, that's awesome. That's awesome, man. And I know that the work that you've been doing and the spirit in which you move is it's what we need in terms of our young folks seeing what good black manhood looks like, right? And that's why it was when Molly and I were talking about our panel for this past Monday, why we felt it was essential to have you there because that's the image that you portray, and not only that, but you actually live. So, was really grateful to have you on the panel, and again, the words that you were able to share were awesome. Let's talk about that a little bit. Um, First and foremost, what did you think of the room on Monday?
I thought the room, in terms of the demographics,
Well, just the energy, the what you saw.
I'm kind of biased. I've been to a lot of Black Man Labs, and it was diverse. It wasn't as many elder. Well, it was a good diverse crowd. It was. You had a few elders, had some maybe middle age, had some teenagers, some young adults, some men who are transitioning into young adults, and I know we even had a few um, adolescent
Yeah, we had some.
teens,
We had a 7 year old and a couple 10 year olds. I
7 year old,
think.
yeah,
Yeah.
10 year olds, yeah, a couple 10
Yeah.
year olds. So it was very, very diverse, man. And based on the questions that were asked and what was put on the floor, I know that it still continues to be an incubator for people to really um, get out, let out some steam, get some questions answered, and just grow. So I love the space. I love the room. Yeah, man, it's necessary. And I don't know if there's anything else like it happening around the city. I think we certainly need more of it, for sure.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that makes and this is no slight to anybody else, because there's a ton of great organizations out there doing great work. I think one of the things that we're really um, intentional about is that piece of us making sure that we are recognizing our African selves, right?
Hmm.
Because a lot of times that's dismissed, right? And even in
Sure.
people doing great work, that piece of it is dismissed because and people are operating in somebody else's mindset and or culture, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be, and I don't think that we are super overt with it, and not that there's anything wrong with that either. But I think that the fact that we are constantly entrenching our young men in the goodness of their blackness, that
Mhm.
leads to that space having the feel that it does, right? And
Yeah.
and it opens it up to these open, honest conversations, right? Because again, here we are three normally, and just for you too. Normally, what we do is we alternate every week. We have a professional development and then personal development, and we alternate every week. But
Hmm.
these topics that we talked about the past 3 weeks, which were all personal development, were so powerful and so meaningful to the folks that were there in the audience that we couldn't stop doing it. It was
Right.
like we had the first one, and it was like, well, we were gonna do something around professional development the following week, but it's like this conversation is too important, and
Yeah.
we could do it again probably next week off of this past week, so, but we got to get back to our normal. But I think that space opens up for that kind of energy,
For sure.
where people are open and honest and they ask some really, really great questions. Were there any questions that you heard that you thought were significant?
When the young brother, if we're stage right, they're stage left. No, they're stage right.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're stage left. The brother with the lock, he was asking, just talking about uh, thinking that had forgiven or gotten past
Mm.
some underlying issues,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff with me. And then the other young brother who was talking about how he got burned in a relationship twice from somebody that he considers to be a
Sure.
very good friend. It's not relative. I think it was relative,
Yeah.
but burned him twice. So those
Mm-hmm.
two instances really stuck out. Um, and just seeing how many people have those um, same issues in common, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Both of those two incidents, I should say incidents, both of those two questions that were asked, I remember them as well. They were very significant, and it was interesting. One of the questions kind of tells you about our I don't want to say brainwashed mindset sometimes, but our mindset where we're not thinking the same for our own as we do for other people. Um,
Hmm.
and that was the one with the for being able to forgive the guy, and that leads to a whole that in itself could almost be its own topic matter, right? And that's what we find is
Hmm.
that these a lot of times, man, as these questions come out, they lead to where we wind up saying, "Wow, that should probably be a topic," where we should have an in-depth conversation about that one thing. Um, what
A
what
lot more
about
common than that.
what'd you say?
A lot more common than not.
Yeah, yeah. Um, how about from the panel perspective? What did you think?
I thought the panel did a really good job. I wanted to hear more from the gentleman that had the locks. I don't think we heard from him at all.
Hmm.
Um, but I think what Bible was sharing was the information was powerful. It was powerful. I just
Hmm.
wanted to be more inclusive. But then again, it also speaks to the wisdom that the brother displays. Like until I really have something to share, I'm just gonna wait my turn.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, yeah. It was interesting because our brother Josh, he has a kind of almost a clinical point of view, right, in terms of how he addresses what manhood looks like. Likewise, how he answers questions, and then Baba, of course, is Baba, which is he's just a wealth of knowledge, and can take that thing and run with it, and then you're a great perspective as well because all three of those were very different, and that was good. So as we talked about, what black manhood looks like, let's talk about that a little bit. Um, what, from your perspective, one, what's your perspective, but then two, how do you think that was communicated with the audience?
My perspective. Um, so manhood for me of course it's not one um just defining word. It is a gumbo of words and responsibilities and accountability and um, requirements. It's a plethora of requirements. I think for me, not I think for me, most certainly the very first is to know yourself. Get to know who you are, know what your shortcomings are, what your strengths are. Not what somebody tells you your shortcomings and your strengths are, but you discovering them.
Mm-hmm.
I think once you start there, then you can open up your heart and your mind to receive correction because you'll be able to discern through your own work when somebody is trying to impart wisdom or if this is somebody who's full of ego. Because when you're hungry for self knowledge, as the old adage says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So I definitely think starting with knowing who you are, knowing whose you are, and then from there, waking up. A part of knowing who you are should wake you up every single day and being intentional about getting to your purpose, serving your purpose is certainly a part of manhood because we all have it, in my humble opinion. And once we dial into that, I don't need an alarm clock to wake me up. I don't need somebody to nudge me. I'm going full throttle at what I know I've been gifted to do in the earth. So that's definitely a tier. And then once you understand the responsibilities you have, then to continue to build on that integrity. Just build your integrity, surround yourself with people who are integral. And when you're wrong, own it. Own it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I pride myself on is that I'm at 49 years old. I'm wise enough to know that it's not about being right for me. I'm not trying to be right. I'm working to be righteous. And I'm not trying to be right. I don't know if I'm asking the right question. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm navigating this life. I'm gonna do my part that I know to do, and I've been digging, finding my different gifts and talents, and outside of that, what else is there for me? So I hope I answer your question. The first part of your question. The second part of your question, I don't necessarily know. I don't think we had enough time to go as deep into it. We went around the room and everybody gave a word symbolizing what they thought manhood was. Just in my
Mm-hmm.
humble opinion, I don't think you can summarize it with just one word.
Yeah, that was interesting too. I thought that that exercise, it because there were, some of the words did repeat, but
Hmm.
with all of those people that we had in there, you think about it, how many different words that we had to describe what manhood
Right,
looks like.
right.
And I thought that was kind of cool that there wasn't a bunch of repeats, and that tells you that the gamut of what people think of manhood, or what's important in manhood, is fairly significant. So I thought that was a pretty cool exercise, and that we just kind of threw that in there, but it gave good interaction.
Hmm.
So I was happy that we were able to broach the subject, and ultimately, my hope is that the young folks that were there garnered something from it. I
Mm-hmm.
think more than anything, seeing the types of men that
Okay.
were in the room and that
Yeah.
have been
Okay.
consistent in being in the room is I think somebody on the panel actually said that. They said, you know, you're looking at you're able to see here every week some, you know, strong black men and that can provide that picture at least. And I think that that's something that we need to be conscious of in terms of having those touches with our young black men, because quite often, well, they're not seeing the Jay Whites of the world, the Molly Davises of the world, you know, the
Mm-hmm.
Baba Wakesas of the world. They're not seeing them on a regular basis. They're seeing what the streets have to offer.
Right.
And even in some cases, it's not a matter of the streets. It's just a matter of the absenteeism um, for them. So um, I think that that's a great place for us to be. Um, what do you think will be the next move in terms of having that conversation again? Because we will.
I think it's identifying, doing some work to identify um, who's in the room, identify the gifts and the talents of the people who are in the room, and begin to um, provide mentorship or placement so that we can continue to build upon what's happening. Because when you're out of place and you're in an environment that doesn't challenge you or inspire you,
Right.
you know, we only there for an hour and a half. Like that's not enough time to. I mean, we can plant a seed, but you're not getting to put no water on it for another Monday, you know, another week. That doesn't work. That doesn't
Yeah.
serve us. So I think one of the solutions is to begin to pair everybody up so that you are building more accountability. You're building more trust. You're building
Hmm.
more bridges for these young men to have outlets. And again, I go back to Claude Anderson, what he said: building businesses, building opportunities for these young men to, you know, it's one thing to talk to them. I'll summarize by saying this. I heard a preacher say one time, I'm not the author of it, but I did hear a preacher say one time that um, someone told them they would rather see a sermon than hear a sermon. And I just think we can do more, we can be more hands-on, more intentional about hands-on building, hands-on learning, because that's what it's going to take.
And that is the next step for us. We have um, next Monday. I'll probably announce. We have a number of workshops that we're going to start doing. Because to your point, I felt like we have these great Monday sessions on whatever the topic is. We have these great Monday sessions,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's on to the next thing. So are we watering all of those seeds that we've dropped? And so to do that, we're going to start some workshops here in the very near future. Actually, should be starting
Okay.
mid March. So
Okay.
looking forward to that. You talked about a journey that you went on that kind of helped
Mm-hmm.
you further
Mm-hmm.
discover who you are as a man, and um, you know, really helped you to clear some space in your mind and in your inner person. Talk about that a little bit, because I think that's when you mentioned it. One of the things that we always do at the lab is Miley tends to, as he and I both, proctor the sessions. Um, he tends to lead a lot of the conversations, and I have a
Mm-hmm.
tendency to watch the audience while we're up
Okay.
front to
Okay.
get read what people are thinking and saying. And I got some
Mm-hmm.
different feedback from looks and the like from when you start talking about a journey that you went on recently. So share that with our lab results audience.
Okay. Okay. For sure. For sure. For sure. So, like in November of 21 last year, I started on a journey. Um, I wanted to challenge myself to go deeper spiritually. Um, and I've been by my own standard, I've been tremendously successful in the things that I have put my hand toward. So, um, but I feel like it's just more. It's just more. I mean, I've done fasts where I've literally abstained from food and water for weeks at a time, um, just to see, how far I could challenge myself. What type of discipline do I really have? But this was different. So I challenged myself in a way, um, going off of again an old adage that someone else um, is the author of. I'm not the author of, but maybe I read it. In order to get something you never had, you have to be willing to do something you've never done.
Mm.
So with that, led me on a 40-day no sex, no sugar, no swearing fast. And for me, it was eye opening. It was so amazing because I got a chance to deconstruct narratives. I mean, I've known better for a while, but it became clear as to why that narrative does not work. It does not serve our people in our highest and best good. And I know as soon as I started it, again, I told you I'm a barber. I started to have conversations with some of my clients, and unbeknownst to me, they were having some of the same thoughts and feelings and wanting to challenge themselves as well. So they jumped on the fast cold turkey, like I'm doing it today. It starts. And I'm not talking old men. These are guys in their 40s. We got a guy 50. We got a couple of guys in their 20s, and then it kind of opened up to some guys over in South Africa who I visited there through. I brought the New Year in there, and a couple of guys. They were like, "This is it. Like I got to go deeper also." So I know that it has been. Um, that's not necessarily a construct that we come from. It's more so get as much as you can, and not
Mm-hmm.
just sex, but just anything. Hoard, get it, money, chase it. It's just like, nah, man. Something
And so
is
again,
out
your
of
your
order.
fast was sex,
Mhm.
sugar, what else?
No sex, no sugar, no swearing.
No
Which I'm
swearing.
not, like I said in the meeting today. Yeah, I'm not a big swearer anyway. But I know that I just need to challenge. I have a vast vocabulary, and I don't have to use choice words when people upset me or get under my skin. So I'm like, Jay, come on, man. Brother, you got 10 books out, man. You write, you got vocabulary. Use your vocabulary. So
As they
yeah,
said when
man.
you're a little kid, use your words.
Use your words, man.
So let's talk. What did that, as you went through that process of this
Hmm.
40-day fast, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, Talk about what that did for you in terms of your physical feeling marrying to your mental feeling.
Okay. So first of all, I started to write a book. The book is called No More Bodies, of which I literally released it this Saturday, March the 5th. No More
No more.
Bodies. But the feeling that came from it is actually what led me on that path to write. I had all of the guys journaling every day. So it started out as this is what I'm doing till a morning, every morning, or at least a Monday through Saturday morning Zoom prayer at 6:30 every morning. So we dial in, the guys will jump on the devices and start to join in. Well, it gave me a different type of energy, a different type of incentive, a different type of hunger, something I never had before. And then when you're inspiring other people to challenge themselves to go deeper spiritually, the reward and the feeling and the energy and the stamina that you get from that, I don't know if you can necessarily give that to yourself. You know what I mean? It's like the source, man, the Most High jumps in and with you and gives you an extra portion of endurance, and you just start running. And so that put me in on a whole different track to where I just started coming home, getting into bed like 6:30, 7 o'clock every day. And I get up
Mm.
at 3 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning, go work out. And when the earth is still, I get all of my work done. And now it's a ritual. So physically, felt better, ate better. I've never owned a television in my life. So,
Oh wow.
I don't do a whole lot of, yeah, I don't um, invest a lot of time watching events. Don't get me wrong, I may watch a big fight or, a big game or something, but I'm not really present. I couldn't tell you who is who in sports, none of that. Because my rationale is I don't have time to watch other people get millions, and I don't have mine yet. It doesn't work for me.
Hmm.
So I don't watch television or invest time outside of operating my purpose. So with that, I'm able to just get a whole lot done, man. I get a whole lot done, and my track record and my trail behind me speaks to that. So um, that's the physical part. Emotionally and mentally, it again challenges me. Again, having a degree in divinity, it helps to even illuminate some of the things that I've been feeling, but now can put history and scholarship to so that I can help coach and teach and lead our people into a different light, man, so that they can live a fulfilling life, man. Be fulfilled in this life, most importantly to yourself and then to the creator and then to the community. So that's how it's left me. That's what I'm charged with every day. This is what I do every single day. I wake up on purpose and in purpose. And I was doing it before the fast, but the fast just really illuminated it.
That's what I was gonna say. So the short version is that from a spiritual standpoint, it probably let you dig a little deeper because there was less, um, I guess you could say, noise,
Distractions,
right?
energy.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. That's interesting. That's interesting. Um, because as you were saying it, I was thinking about which of those three could I let go for 40 days?
And you
And
know
all
what's
three of them.
interesting?
Uh huh.
Yeah, let me interject this because what's interesting is playing sports. I was able to apply some of the things that I learned in sports. So what I did was when guys would join the fast, because I'm the initiator of it, I don't expect people to have the same hunger or same zest for it. So I challenge them. I said, I'll tell you what, every time one of y'all fall off the fast, so you slip up, whatever you do, just keep it a buck, man. You ain't got to lie. Ain't nobody got to heaven and hell to put you in. But every time one of y'all fall off, I will start the fast over.
Mm.
So what that did was, it's kind of like playing on a team and being late to practice. And the person that's late to practice, like my coach didn't make them run, the coach will make the rest of the team run. So now we looking at him like,
Sure.
you know what I mean? So now it make you not want to be late no more. So when somebody fall off and I start over, they're like, man, my bad. And it just make them want to be a little more accountable, right?
Right.
That was definitely a nugget that I took with me. And, it's been an amazing journey, man. I started over about 3, 4 times.
Wow. Wow. And so now, are you still doing it, or you just do a variation of it?
I do. So I'm not on the fast anymore, but I definitely am not. Um, so I started eating sugar again. I haven't really. I mean, I can't say that I haven't engaged physically, but I'm not. I just cut people off. Like this is not serving anybody.
Mm.
I'm not because I know that you're not my wife. And you're not my wife. Like, why even put us in that situation?
Mm.
Um, but it helped me to talk through why I just had to let some people go. Like, this is why I really do have your best interest at heart. It ain't no shade to you. And I hope if I knew who your husband was, I was gonna introduce you today.
Right.
You know,
Right. That's a
but just
that's a
all
level of
different. So just yeah.
yeah, that's a level of self discipline that we we need to get to, right? One, this is the week before last, as we talked about love and finding the right partner. There was a young fella there that was talking about how you know these women can be out here now, and they're just it's all there for the taking, blah blah blah. what should I do? How do I not? How do I turn that down? Right? And I get it at your late teens, early 20s. It's hard um, to deviate from that because you're coming into yourself, right? And it's hard to say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to abstain, or I'm going to be about one person and all that. And we talked about what that looks like as a man to do that. To say, hey, it's not serving you, and it's part of it is just your ego pushing you, or it's because you want to prove something to somebody else of your quote unquote
Mm-hmm.
manhood. But
Right.
then there's the reality of sometimes we want I find this person attractive right now, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
going down that road, right, as a young man. Well, I think what's
Yeah.
key with that, and what we discussed was, hey, if indeed that's the case, then you, as a man, you have to be open and honest, and that might be you saying, or it shouldn't, not might, it should be you saying, I'm not looking for a long term relationship. What I'm looking for is some companionship. Whatever happens with that is cool, but
Mm-hmm.
don't put any expectations on it, so that that person has the right of refusal, right, where they can say, all right, you know what, I appreciate that. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a relationship. And then you as a man can say, I know a guy who's really good, and
Right.
hand that to him, But
Right.
um,
Right.
if that's not where you're at, then you got to be honest with that person and honest with yourself. And I think what happens a lot of times is we're not honest on the front end, and then you wind up running into keyed cars. You run into all kind of stuff. So um, that's amazing what you're doing. And how you've been approaching it, and how that fast thing is amazing. And I think that's it can only help you clear your mind and put taking sugar out of
Mm-hmm.
yourself. Everybody knows taking sugar out of yourself for an extended period of time is only going to help you, physically. But this the mental part. I think that's important as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's amazing, man. And we probably need to implement that. By the way, Jay, just so you know, some of the stuff that we talked about on Monday and what we're talking about here tonight, I'm tapping into you to get involved with the lab and maybe start some groups through the lab, as it relates
Yeah.
to us looking at doing some different things as they relate to manhood, man. Because I
For
think
sure.
we have to have those pieces move outside of the lab as well.
For sure. For sure. Which you know, I'm here for it. Bottom line, I'm here for it.
Beautiful,
In
beautiful,
the right
bro.
business,
You froze up there,
some of the
Jay.
young men. It was interesting when it was over with. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now. You're back.
Okay. It's interesting. I was the last one to leave on Monday
Mm,
because I was surrounded by about five young men who, um, those five young men, they just had question after question.
I love it, man. I love it. And that's why we do that after session, man, is because when people check into our panelists and they hear from the panelists, they want to get more. That's why we're doing this tonight, is because I always get people saying they want more from, they want to find out about what makes a person tick. How did you get to where you are as a black man? And so that's beautiful that you were able to tap in with those guys.
Yeah, man. We exchange information, and I think some of them may join us on the mountain on Saturday. So Saturday is the book launch. I'm gonna take as many people as comes up to Amicalola waterfall, which is at 400, and I think it's Delano, and we're gonna hike this mountain together to symbolize the climb. The climb is symbolic of what are you trying to climb out of and strive to become. You know, as a man,
Mm.
as a woman. It is co-ed, what are we building? At the end of the day, man, that's what I'm about to from now on. What are we being intentional about building?
Right. That's awesome. So where is your you're releasing your book on Saturday?
I'm releasing a book on Saturday. We've been shooting, we've been filming, we've been documenting, we've been interviewing, we've been challenging, we got all types of intellectual property. We've been pairing up with other professionals who are proficient in different um, professions that can help move the ball down the field, both males and females. Again, I'm not trying to be right. I definitely don't have all the answers, but I think with what Dr. Lisa Allen McLaurin, she writes in her book Worship Matters, how we all coming out of African cosmology, we did everything together. We prayed, we ate, we played, we worked,
Mm-hmm.
we served, we danced, we did everything together, and we weren't fragmented. And because we've been so fragmented, doing the work to pull us back together. Ideally, I would love for us all to be in the same neighborhood, having the same access and creating industry where it not only serves our community, but it makes other cultures come to us, so we don't have to send money out of the community, but people can come to us and buy resources, right? Um, that's the end game for me is what are we building, man? What are we build? What are we doing? What have
Yeah.
we been intentional about? We just keep eating.
And that's why it's so important for us to check in with these young folks because their energy,
Looking
their
forward to it.
ability, their abilities, um, and their energies are essential in building, as you're talking about, right? Because
Yes,
we need them to be the builders of the future,
for
um,
sure.
and so that's why we have to stay tapped in with them and stay um, consistent. You know, really, that's the word I keep using. But we have to stay consistent in their lives so that they can see what they're capable of. It's so funny because when given the opportunity, we see them do amazing stuff, right?
For sure.
Um, and part of the them doing amazing stuff is, a lot of times folks just don't know what they're capable of, right? Because they've only been told so much for so long. And
Yeah.
then when they see and they're given the opportunity, beautiful stuff happens, man. And us as a people really need to be far more cognizant um, in that
Mm-hmm.
space, So,
For sure.
are you doing any book signing or anything? You have anything you want to release? Anything you want to talk about on
I'm
Saturday?
doing pre-sales. I'm just doing pre-sales right now.
Okay.
The actual the actual launch will you'll get an ebook for the launch, and then the paperback will be available starting Saturday. You'll be able to order it
Okay.
online. But I'm looking forward to doing. I'm taking my time with it, man, but making sure that I'm not leaving any stone unturned. That I'm always touchable, and this book will be here, forever.
Sure.
So in terms of the release, I just tell people go online, order a pre-sale copy. You'll get a download, and I'm giving some pre-sale for people who order a pre-sale copy. I'm giving them some gifts as well as a thank you. And that's another thing. Like I said, I've written a lot of books. In my eyes, written a lot of books. I have a lot of intellectual property that I can gift away, and I have that liberty. Like I don't owe nobody nothing. I own everything that I've created. I own 100%. I'm not an allegiance to anybody other than myself. So I can give away a lot of stuff. I pride myself on that because that's my way of pride and giving back to the community.
That's beautiful. That's what we need as a folk, right? That's what we
Yeah,
need.
man.
So, Jay, look, man, we're up against it, brother. I told you this was gonna go quick. Um, we're already about to hit 7:30. So I'm gonna go ahead and you talked about um, how you're with your program that you were doing, that
Mm-hmm.
accountability piece, and if somebody on your team failed to hold their part of the bargain, and you stopped and you went back and you started over with them to keep people accountable. Um, that goes with how we end the Black Man Lab every week, right? Us being linked together. right? Links in
Mm-hmm.
the chain.
Hmm.
So with that, I'm gonna end just like we do in the Black Man Lab.
Hmm.
So if you can just join me as
Yes,
we're
sir.
gonna act like we're linking together.
We linked up, man.
Yeah, and then we'll just repeat. I'm a link in this chain,
I'm a link in this chain,
and it won't break here.
and it won't break here.
I'm a link in this chain,
I'm a link in this chain,
and it won't break here. We are links in this chain,
and it won't break here. I'm a link in this chain, and it won't break here.
and we won't break here. Ashe.
I say,
All right,
I
brother.
say,
Thank you
amen.
again, man, and look forward to having you back in the space. Thank you for tonight.
Hmm.
Thank you for past Monday. You were awesome then. You were awesome tonight, and look forward to getting that book, bro. I want to get
Yes,
a
sir.
copy of your book, and we'll announce it in the lab too. So make sure you remind me, and I'll announce it in the lab.
All right, I appreciate it, man. And then just want to leave you with on the entrepreneurship side, I have 30 of those petty cabs. I got 30 of them. I just started a division in LA. I took 5 of them out to LA and left them. Still have 25 here. Looking to work with these young men, some of these water boys, empower them, equip them with business products and their wares. So definitely want to have that conversation with you. I got resources, man. I
We
just want to use the resources for what they're looking
absolutely, brother, because we're I have one of our workshops is going to be job readiness.
for. Hmm.
So we need to talk about that. I'm glad you brought that up.
Hmm.
We're going to be trying to do some pipeline stuff through the Hyatt hotels and then other partners where we're able to help folks get some jobs, and would love to be able to help with your stuff. So let's definitely talk further. All right.
Okay, brother. I appreciate you, man.
All right, bro. Thanks again, and we'll
All right, I'll
talk.
see
All
you
right.
Monday. Yep,
All
see
right.
you
Much
Monday.
love, partner. Talk to you.
All right, peace.